This is Chin Music, the baseball podcast from Talk North, recorded at the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and this is brought to you by Your Boat Club, Minnesota Masonic Charities, Twill in Edina Gallery, and True Vision Institute.
We are entering the post-All-Star break portion of the schedule with the Minnesota Twins 4.5 games behind the Cleveland Guardians in their quest to repeat as Central Division champions. We are going to assess their chances of running down Cleveland over these last several weeks. But first, I want to welcome all of you to the Chin Music Podcast. It's myself and Roy Smalley and David, who is our very able and willing producer. Roy, I want to talk about the Twins' chances down the stretch here, but first, I want to get your thoughts. I don't know if you watched the All-Star game yesterday, but what did you think if you did? And if you didn't, I still have another question for you.
I did watch another happy outcome for the American League. I was happy about that to continue their dominance. And there was a lot of really cool stuff. The best player in the game hit a 3-run home run, and an up-and-coming young man hit a 2-run home run to win it. So all cool stuff. And then you had Juan Soto, of course, coming right back and driving in 2 runs, which he is prone to do. So I mean, it was just all in all, it looked like really, really strong pitching. But the hitters that are hot came through and it was enjoyable in that way.
Funny, I'm reading all the responses on social media about how terrible the uniforms looked, and this is like the worst ever. And I'm like, they're terrible every year now. Every year these uniforms are horrible. They're hard to look at. It looks like some kindergarten class designed the uniforms and the lettering. I can't stand it. You made the All-Star team in '79, back in an era in which the players wore their own uniform. Would you like to see the All-Star game go back to that, Roy?
Yeah, I would. I liked that. I mean, if they don't want to do that for whatever reason, if they want to have a uniform look throughout the team, then bear down and make it look professional. I mean, I can't believe that you can't do, some bright white uniforms like the Dodgers or what the Twins uniforms are right now, the bright white, and then great classic gray with pinstripes or powder blue or, something that looks like a big league uniform, road uniform. I mean, it just can't be that tough. I don't know what look they're trying to go for. I mean, kindergarten design probably that you said probably comes closest. I really don't know. It was distracting to me because I was doing some other, baseball TV related work and watching the game. And every time I look up, I'd say, okay, now wait a minute. The blue guys are which way? And what are those? What is that other white? What are the colors on that white? And I couldn't figure out who was who half the game. And you hit on a sore spot for me. I hate the uniforms.
Yeah, garish is my reaction. When I think of uniforms, I think they're rather garish. So
yeah, why can't you just do a professional home and a professional road uniform? I mean, I just don't get it.
I thought it'd be neat if they just did it in the colors of the team that's hosting the All-Star game, the whatever like their home design is, but it could say American League, and whatever the road version is, could be National League, or something to compromise to what's going on right now. Willie Castro made the All-Star team. Carlos Correa made an appearance, but plantar fasciitis in his other foot now kept him from playing. But Willie played. He got in, grounded out on the 2-strike pitch. Didn't get a chance to play in the field because he was a designated hitter, but he got to play. And after the game, he had a bag loaded of goodies. The All-Star game has become an incredible event for swag. People get gear and gadgets. Players' families get gear and gadgets. There's a massive autograph room that it usually takes an hour of signing to sign all the official All-Star stuff that goes to auction for charity. I'm curious, Roy, you were an All-Star in 1979. What perks did you guys get that year in the All-Star game?
Well, you get a ring, which is cool. Or we got a ring. We got a little baby travel suitcase that said 50th All-Star Game on it that I think we sold in a garage sale or something. I mean, it was worthless. I mean, we got the most important thing to me was the signature part of it. And we got, bats, black bats signed by everybody and pictures in it, but there wasn't swag really. I mean, there really wasn't. There was nothing like it is now.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And, for the first time Hall of Famers for the Twins, I've told them, get ready, man. It's going to take you about an hour to sign all the autographs you're going to be asking for. You're going to be amazed when you walk into that room and see what you have to sign. So the All-Star game is over. The Twins have a break until Saturday when they play a 2-game set against Milwaukee. And they're in place to be the second wildcard team in the American League if the season ended today. So they're in good shape in that regard. But I think that for this team, on pace to win 92 games, which is more than it was a year ago, I think people would like to see the Twins repeat as division champion. Cleveland's been playing out of their minds. Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, the pitch has been better than expected. The bullpen's been lights out as expected. The Twins offense is performing as well as it has all year. Roy, how do you see this race shaping up? Cleveland does have the second toughest schedule in baseball over the last 2 months. So that 6-11 winning percentage is going to be challenged. But how do you see things shaking up between these two teams, noting that the Twins have not beaten Cleveland in 5 games this year?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, as tough as Cleveland's schedule is going to be the second half of the season, it's going to come down to head-to-head. I mean, the Twins have to get above 500 against Cleveland these last games that they have. I mean, you can't make up 4.5 games I don't think, on a club that has that good of pitching. If you don't beat them yourself, I just don't think they're going to be able to rely on the difficulty of Cleveland's schedule. I do think what you're alluding to is right. I think I don't think they're going to play 6-11 ball at the end of the year, or by the end of the year. I think the percentage will be somewhat less than that. Twins are just going to have to play well, and it's not. I mean, a lot of great things are on the horizon. I love Brooks Lee's swing. I love him as a player. Royce Lewis will be coming back. Losing Correa is another blow, and hopefully that foot will get well in an extra special hurry. Those things can be really tough. But I just hope for, my wish for the Twins second half of the season is 100% health. Just everybody that you're counting on, stay healthy, and I think it's going to be a great race, to the wire for the division championship. I don't think there's anything. I don't think any Twins player has second wild card in his mind right now. I think they can catch Cleveland and go ahead of them. I think they can too, but it's going to take health, and it's going to take an ability to beat the Cleveland starters. That bullpen is, and as we saw Class A last night, absolutely lights out, and the setup guys for him are good. Twins are going to have to keep this offense going against a pretty good Cleveland pitching staff, but they're going to have to figure out how to beat them. Yep.
The Twins are a different team than they were in April and May. They led the American League, led baseball in slugging percentage in June. They've had the return of Royce Lewis. They've had the exit of Royce Lewis currently. Brooks Lee has been a breath of fresh air. He has come up from the minors and has not looked overwhelmed. He has been on pitches. He has made good decisions at the plate, and he looks like he could be a high-level offensive player. You mentioned Lee. Talk about what you like about him. What are your thoughts about the swing And what do you think about his batting approach?
I love everything about it. His swing is very simple. It's very short and compact. He delivers the big end of the bat right to the ball and consistently, and he's done it now. I mean, I think that's ingrained in him, so that he knows that he can take the time, let the ball travel, and see pitches. He's not in a rush. I think he's seemingly as relaxed and unhurried young hitter that I can remember seeing for a long time, other than Luis Arias. I mean, he just lets the ball come to him, and he delivers the big end of the bat. He's got a great what we call gather on his back leg as he's seeing the ball. His foot comes down, front foot perfectly on time, and then his hands are in a position they go back a little bit, which they should. But then they're directly at the ball. There's no loop there. And I'd be shocked after seeing him, and I've seen him, he hasn't been up, a long time, but from what I've seen, I'd be shocked if he didn't become a terrific big league hitter. I think what we're seeing is real.
It's not a prerequisite to success to have played for your father, but how much do you think that's helped his formative years as a player?
I think as an overall player, it's a tremendous advantage. You just know things, and you become instinctual about things. This happens, mostly on in the infield, making different kinds of plays, or on the base paths, or it's hard to say how much of a hitting guru that his dad was, but wherever he learned his hitting mechanics, I'd love to give credit to his dad and say, "Holy cow, that's this guy's as a coach is a complete package for a kid that's got that kind of innate talent." But you can tell that the way he moves around and the way he's not overwhelmed at all by what's going on around him, that he was coached really well by his dad. And that's for somebody that, I think I know whereof I speak. My dad wasn't a high school or college coach, but he coached me my whole career until I got to the big leagues. And I think it was a tremendous advantage for me as well.
Once everyone's healthy, how do you think the infield should shape up? Because, Royce Lewis should be at third base. Jose Miranda's on the IL with a sore back. Correa's going to get healthy here, hopefully. And you're going to have Brooks Lee up. How would you form the infield?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that because I want to say that Miranda has to play, Royce Lewis has to play, Brooks Lee has to play, Carlos Correa's got to get healthy and play. Those numbers don't add up. I can't make that work. So I mean, what a great problem to have. The problem is, and the way they've tried to solve it so far is they DH guys, they just rotate them around. The odd man out, they rotate around and through DH or give somebody rest, and that is really, really beneficial to some point. But so it's a good problem to have, and yet it is a problem. I mean, guys need to play every day, especially these young guys. So I don't know what Rocco's going to do. I think it's going to be more of the same rotation schedule. And maybe that will, you've said this before, Lavelle. Injuries, these things usually take care of themselves because somebody's going to get hurt. Well,
that is true.
Correa's hurt and Miranda's hurt. So they don't really have a problem right now at all.
That's true. Another thing, too, when you have Willie Castro, it gives you great lineup flexibility because you can put Willie in 3 infield positions. You can put him in the corner outfield spots, and you can use a DH and try to keep the guys playing at least 4 times a week. But it's a way of keeping guys a little fresh, too, if it works out in certain ways. So I am curious to see how this shakes out, hopefully sooner than later. Rocco deserves to have a hard problem to solve thrown into his lap, and trying to find all these hitters in the lineup, which we didn't know they were hitters a couple months ago, is going to be a great problem to have. And I think Edouard Julien is starting to hit the ball a little bit as well, Roy, and for the St. Paul Saints. So that's something to watch going forward. But you also have Carlos Santana, Santana to me, and you can talk about this too. Santana to me has been, I think, what you would expect as a free agent signing at his stage of his career. I think his OPS is around 770. And that's pretty much how he's been the last few years. He plays a great first base. And there's moments when he jumps up and bites the opponent. What are your thoughts on Carlos Santana and the veteran steadiness that he has provided this team?
Yeah, all of those things, every single one of those things. I think he's been just a real find. You don't know at this stage of a player's career how effective they're going to be. He continues to play great first base. His on-base percentage, as always throughout his career, is great for the defense that he plays. And he jumps up and hits big home runs every once in a while, drives in big runs. I think he's been a real key factor to the Twins' resurgence, having offensively. You knew it was coming at some point in time, or at least we hoped and thought it would be coming. Everybody started hitting kind of at the same time. But Santana's been the anchor. I mean, he's just kind of been the same guy the whole time. And he helped win enough ball games, I think, to make it reasonable. He and Willie Castro and then Miranda, and then everybody started hitting, and here they are. So I think he's been a real key.
Yep. He's got a 752 OPS and a 112 OPS plus, so he's above average in that regard. And like I said, I think he's been as advertised. He's drawn 33 walks. He takes a good at bat, and he has been functional while playing a very solid defensive first base.
Before we continue, we want to thank our sponsors, starting with Your Boat Club.
Got the winter blues? Start planning your summer. Plan on fun and get out in the water with Your Boat Club. Your Boat Club offers boat club memberships and daily rentals with access to over 40 bodies of water and over 400 brand new boats to enjoy. Whether you want to cruise on a pontoon, create waves in a speedboat, or reel in a big one on a fishing boat, Your Boat Club has got you covered. Unlimited boating memberships are available now, starting at just $1.99 a month after a one-time initiation. Life is better on the water. Find out more today at yourboatclub.com.
We also want to thank the Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And now Jim has a word for Twill.
First, though, I want to let you know that went into Twill recently and had the best shopping experience of my life. I got everything I wanted. It all fits me perfectly. It took me about 10 minutes. If I hadn't been in a hurry, I would have lingered and talked more and enjoyed the experience. But I was in a hurry this one day. In and out, 10 minutes. What you should know about Twill in the Edina Galleria, Twill by Scott Dayton, is they just started their summer clearance sale. 40% off seasonal items. This place doesn't have many sales. It's not a discount shop. They sell stuff that they expect to last you the rest of your life. So if the sales are relatively rare, you should take advantage of them. I highly recommend Peter Millar, Johnny O, Brax. Those are the things I wear the most around town. And it's fantastic stuff. It's not going to wear out on you. It's not going to be something you need to replace in a year or two. It's stuff that fits perfectly. So check it out. Go to twillmn.com. Sign up for their email list. They will not spam you. They'll just tell you about events like this. And 40% off stuff at Twill. You're basically getting incredibly high-end stuff at discount prices. I highly recommend it. Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com. Also want you to hear what John Krasinski's experience with True Vision Institute is like.
Yeah, True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I was there earlier this week to get a consultation for LASIK surgery. Found out I'm a great candidate for it, and super easy to set up an appointment. Go in there. They run you through a bunch of tests. Their people are very nice, and they will give you a straight up and honest answer for your options for your vision correction. And I'm looking forward to having LASIK at True Vision once the playoffs are over. So go to truevision.com to set up your appointment, and you won't be disappointed at all. Great people at True Vision.
Okay, Roy, it's time for me to ask you about one of I view as an intriguing player, a person who I view as who should be Joey Gallo with more contact ability. It is, of course, the outfielder Matt Wallner. He looked terrible at the beginning of the year. I ran into Corey Koski on the street early in the season. He was like, he is boxing himself up every time he steps toward the plate. It looks like that's an adjustment he's been trying to make. He's now striding toward the pitcher more so than toward the plate. I think it's given him a shot to make more contact. What have you noticed about Wallner since he's been called up?
Yeah, Lavelle, you know what I think about Wallner and what I thought about him, what I think about it, because I've been saying this for over a year, that the big stride toward the plate is locking him up, and the swing gets longer, the foot comes down at the wrong time, it can't get around on a good fastball. And so lo and behold, he goes to the minor leagues. I've been reading about it, and they said, he's going to work on striding more directly to the plate. And I just thought to myself, what a doggone concept. He looked 100% better. It doesn't happen all the time. When you have a habit that's kind of ingrained, it's really hard to get out of it. And he gets himself in trouble still. His stride gets a little long toward the plate. When one thing that I noticed when has been hitting the ball as hard as he hits it, not only is the stride more directly at the pitcher, not at the plate, so it clears his front side, but also the stride is slower, less hurried and not as long. And to the degree that he can have a casual front foot stride directly at the pitcher instead of at the plate, he's going to kill it. I mean, he's going to strike out some. Not going to be like Joey Gallo. I think if he can get this accomplished, I think he's going to be a real true big time power home run hitter. It can't say for sure that he'll get it accomplished because it's very hard to break, something that's been with you for a long time. But he is working on it. He has done it, and when he has done it, the result has been 118 miles an hour off the bat. So, I think there's a real chance there.
And with him, it's just a matter of getting, if he's stepping toward the pitcher, it's just a matter of him getting his foot down at the right time, right?
Yeah, it is, but it's harder to do. And believe me, as somebody that fought that myself, I wanted to, naturally, I wanted to step toward the plate. I think what happens is when you're a young kid, you hear about staying closed and not flying open. And all of a sudden you're striding in toward the plate, trying to keep your front side closed. And really what you're doing is locking yourself up. It's hard to get out of that. But, if you're striding in at the plate, it immediately takes your hands to a position that are further away from where you have to make contact with the ball. And that's not a good thing. And you're also having to hurry to open your hips to get around the blocking that you're doing with that into the plate stride and everything. It's hard to get your foot down on time. You have a longer swing. Your hands take longer to get there. It's harder to swing against a front foot that's that close. It's just harder to get to the ball. So, it's vital, I think, in my mind, it's vital that he continue to work on it and develop a new ingrained habit that's a step directly at the pitcher.
I want to go back to the All-Star game briefly here because I was thinking about timing at the plate and things you're discussing here. And I just want to say something that more praise for Shohei Ohtani, because you see these Japanese hitters come over to the league. They usually have these pronounced leg kicks. And I was watching Ohtani swing at the All-Star game. He's just got like a little toe tap, and then he's locked and loaded, and it's destruction once he meets the ball. How impressive is he from that standpoint?
Incredible. He's got incredible hitting mechanics. Not everybody can do it. I think you have to be, that big and strong to be able to do what he does. But on the other hand, most guys that are that big and strong do not have the finesse in their mechanics that he does. So it's just a wonderful combination. But he doesn't have a big leg kick. What the Japanese players all have taught over decades, starting with Sadaharu Oh, who hit all those those home runs. It was just a global phenomenon baseball player in Japan for all those years. And he had the big leg kick. And now when I say big leg kick, I mean it went up and it stayed up there for a long time. And most Japanese hitters have done that ever since. And what Ohtani does is he just gathers really nicely. You talk about a casual and unhurried front foot stride. I mean, he gathers really well on his back leg, and then he stays very parallel with his body and just the toe tap stride that you described, very parallel to the line of flight of the ball. His hands come way inside. You talk about keeping your hands inside the ball. His hands come inside the line of flight and then work the big end very, very directly down that line, down the line of flight of the ball. So he's never around the ball. He's always, the big end is always coming, staying a long time through the zone and coming directly at the ball, down the line of flight of the ball. And and then once he gets the big end of the bat to the ball, I mean, he's got awesome strength. So it's strength and the power of his mechanics. I mean, I love watching him hit. I absolutely love watching him.
All right. We're going to move. It's going to be story time here with Roy. I'm going to point out right now, I just published a book called The Franchise, A Curated History of the Minnesota Twins. It dropped June 11th. It's available at Barnes & Noble and on Amazon.com. I've been doing book signings around town. I have a book signing Thursday, July 18th at the Perfect Ash Cigar Shop in River Grove Heights, coinciding with a My Father's Cigar event. So if you're a big Twins fan, you want to read about Twins history, check out my book. And Roy Smalley was interviewed for the book, and he gave me a great anecdote, which I hope he could talk about today, about 1987. And when Andy McPhail approached him about signing or bringing in Don Baylor.
Okay, guys. I will. I'll do the best I can. Lavelle, Groove, and I, Donnie and I were. We played against each other for a lot of years through the mid '70s and into the early '80s, and then I got traded to the Yankees in '82, and the Yankees got Donnie in '83. And we were teammates in New York in '83 and '84 and became really close friends. He and his wife, Becky, and Chrissy and I did a lot of stuff together. And most of it, at least centered around, if it wasn't the only thing we were doing, it was centered around great food and great wine. And we did an awful lot of that. And became very, very good friends. And so when I ultimately came back to the Twins, and it's 87 and it's late in August. And we had been struggling against left-handed pitching just a little bit. And Andy McPhail came up to me in the clubhouse one day, late August, and said, "Hey, I've got a chance to get Don Baylor. I'd like to know what you think. Do you think I should do that?" And, I think that either Andy and I were either the same age, or I would think I might have been a little older than Andy. So, maybe after 13 years in the big leagues and being older than he was, maybe I felt like I could talk to the general manager like this. I said, Andy, if you don't make that deal, you're not the boy genius everybody says you are. And he did make the deal. Played with us. He was able to get there in time to be eligible for the World Series, and played through September. And he really didn't hit that well. Didn't do much, but it didn't matter. They didn't do much in the month of September from his standards. But the home run that he hit off John Tudor in Game 6 when we were about to lose the World Series, John Tudor had stuck it right up our butts, and it wasn't looking good. And we were down 5-2, and I think Groove hit either a 2 or 3 run home run. Now I don't even remember. But when he hit that home run off Tudor, we all just kind of looked at each other and said, okay, we're going to win this game. And of course, that allowed us to tie the game up. And ultimately, Herbie hit the gigantic grand slam to put the game away. And then we won the next night. So getting Donnie was a great two-edged move for me, because he and I we and Becky and Chrissy, we were together again for 2 months, and he hit a shot that enabled us to win Game 6, and it was all just great.
Wow, you told me the McPhail story. I didn't realize that you had a great friendship with Baylor, so that really kind of drove home that season, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It was wonderful. It was absolutely, it was magical for us as a team, for the community, as we all well know. I mean, it was just such a celebration, and to have Groove be back together with Groove and be able to do that together. That was pretty great for me too.
Right. Let's see. That gave me time to look it up. Baylor hit a 2-run homer off Tudor in the 5th, and then Herbeck hit a grand slam off Ken Daly in the 6th.
Right.
Oh man, I forgot that.
Right.
Wow, that was a big blast here. We can't leave the podcast this week without addressing the fact that a former Twins going to the Hall of Fame this weekend, and Joe Mauer, and he's going to be the 4th person from St. Paul to be enshrined in Cooperstown. Of course, he had a storied career with the Twins, 10 fantastic years as a catcher, 5 so-so years as a first baseman, but it's obvious that he got into the Hall because of his exploits behind the plate. Roy, what do you think about Mauer being a Hall of Famer and how this caps off his career?
Well, I'm so glad, happy that the voters did what they should have done. And Joe's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Fame player. He did things behind the play as a catcher that nobody's ever done before, and he did these kinds of things for 10 years. Being, winning Gold Gloves, clearly being one of the elite defensive catchers and throwers in the game. And then, throwing up, 300 batting average after 300 batting average, year in, year out, winning batting titles. I mean, catchers don't win batting titles. There was one before Joe, Ernie Lombardi,
right,
way back when, as a right-handed hitting catcher, won the batting title in the National League. But that was the only one until Joe came around. And Novell, remind me, did Joe win 2 or did he win 3?
Joe won 3.
Yeah, three. I mean, nobody does that. Absolutely nobody does that and catches with his ability, the ability that he had. So first ballot Hall of Famer, absolutely well deserved. Wonderful young man. What you see is what you get. Always has been with Joe. And I think we'll see the same thing when he gives that speech at Cooperstown. We're gonna see. We're gonna hear some wonderful things. We're gonna hear some things that make us laugh, and we're gonna hear some things that make us proud. And through it all, it's gonna be. I'm gonna sit there, and shake my head, and go, "Yep, that's Joe."
Awesome. And Joe Mauer is also the first player born in the 2000s to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So,
well, that's really cool. That plus what you said earlier. How about 4 guys in the Hall of Fame from St. Paul? I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And, it's on the website today. It'll be in the paper soon. But I did a story on the St. Paul 4 Hall of Famers. And Roy, I actually got in my car and I went to where Jack Morris grew up, drove from there past Mahler's, the street that Mahler grew up on, the street that Winfield grew up on, and stopped at Lexington Parkway between Blair and Van Buren. That's where Mahler grew up at. And the drive was just 3.5 miles. 4 Hall of Famers along a 3.5 mile drive.
How about that? How about that?
So thank you, all of you, for listening in today. For myself and Roy Smalley, we appreciate it. Jim Souhan should be back in line here pretty soon. He's out seeing the world somewhere, somehow, some way. But we like to thank our sponsors, the Aquarius Home Studios, Your Boat Club, True Vision, and Minnesota Masonic Charities. This has been the Twins Chin Music Podcast.